Hey everybody, welcome back to Identifying God's Best. As usual, this is our channel where we talk about Christian dating, where we talk about how we can honor God in the way that we find a husband or a wife, and how we just, what the process looks like as we do that. We got Bruce and Hannah with us as usual. Hey guys.
Hello.
And we're going to be having a lot of fun today as we continue to talk about, starting dating and what that looks like. Today, we're going to start with another icebreaker question as usual, just to get things going. Today's question is, what is something that was hard to wait for? I can go first while you guys think. Waiting for, I have one daughter right now, and we have a boy on the way. And for both of them, in those last few weeks of the pregnancy, it just feels like it goes on forever. And my wife just gets more and more tired and more ready for the baby to come, and we're just sitting here, we have our diapers ready, the crib is set up, and you're just sitting there and you're like, okay, when is the day gonna happen? So that's where I'm at right now.
Nice. I remember one time that I felt like I had to wait forever was we at my church, we had a book project for biblical emotions, and we wrote the book. And it was super exciting, just being able to hold it. And then we got to have a conference in New Zealand, 2 different ones. And we did a couple other in different parts of California, but we hadn't had one in San Diego, which is where we're from. And we were going to, and it was so excited. And it was 2 weeks away and COVID hit and we go on lockdown. And it was okay, well, if we're only on lockdown for 2 weeks, we'll be able to go and it'll be fine. No, I had to wait another year for it, and it was drudgery, but oh my goodness, once we finally had it, it was such an amazing time. It was so cool being able to share that content with the women from my church and just other women from SD and other places who were able to tune in virtually. And actually Bruce got to come and share tips about romance, so that was super fun to have Bruce too. Yeah, good times.
That was a fun conference. It's a church's first ever virtual conference, so it was good. It was a good experience. For me personally, something that it was hard for me to wait for. So we think back to about a year ago. So I have 2 daughters. The youngest just recently turned 1. Raina just recently turned 1 on August 5th. I was going to say August 3rd, but Haley's October 3rd. So August 5th. So she was 1 on August 5th, and then 3 days afterwards, Haley and I, so that's my oldest, and we got really sick with a viral infection in the mouth. So that was difficult to wait, not just to get better, but I think I was pretty much bedridden for 2 whole weeks. Couldn't eat anything other than Gatorade. Literally, the entire time I only drank Gatorade. I think waiting to get well and waiting to eat food, that was hard, but I think the most difficult was actually being able to hold my daughter, my newborn daughter, and being able to spend time with her, because I just have to separate myself from her constantly 24/7. My wife was a trooper, took care of her for the 2 entire weeks, and us who were sick, so I'm super thankful for that. But that was extremely difficult, waiting to spend time with my youngest one, who was just a couple days old. But also having a great fear, I don't want to get her infected and have her to go through that. So that was a fun time of waiting.
Yeah, man, I forgot about that. I can't imagine. All those are really fun. We're going to be talking about the subject of waiting today, actually. And I know all of us have had this experience, all of us working on this channel. But the question today is, when you're waiting to start dating, or before you start dating, you want to start dating, what does it look like in that time before you start dating? Should we be waiting on the Lord? Do we just wait, or do we make a move? Do we take initiative? Do we seize the moment? What should that look like when you're single and you're ready to start dating?
I can start with the men's side, thinking about how men should approach this type of question, because you do hear a lot oftentimes being thrown out as an advice here and there to different groups of people, oh, just wait, trust in the Lord, or oh no, just go for it, it's time, you're getting old, whatever it is. I'm kidding. But I don't think this is necessarily like an either or question, like somehow like, oh, that waiting upon the Lord is the complete opposite of taking initiative as men. I see this question, so I don't think those are the most proper and appropriate advice. I think it's both and. It's learn to wait on the Lord while taking initiative, as you're taking initiative. So these are some of the principles I'm thinking when it comes to this specific question of waiting and taking initiative. The first, if you're understanding what waiting upon the Lord means. Waiting upon the Lord does not necessarily mean you just sit on the couch and just wait for, the Lord to cause this deep sleep on you and take a rib out and form, your Eve. That is not going to happen. Nor does waiting upon the Lord just sleep in bed and just wait for your roof to sleep by your feet and uncover, you and take care of you. No, that's not waiting upon the Lord. But I think when Scripture talks about waiting upon the Lord and even that eager anticipation and expectation of the coming of the Lord, it's always partnered with activeness. And so it's, instead of just waiting passively, it's meant to be taken so that you're actively waiting. You're doing something about it as you're eagerly anticipating either the coming of the Lord, the blessings of the Lord, or what the promises of God. Mm-hmm. So what waiting upon the Lord looks like, practically speaking, is there is an element of trusting in the Lord. But again, it's not a trust that's passive, waiting for things to just happen. Waiting upon the Lord also means you're diligent and disciplined in your prayer, eagerly and excitingly asking the Lord for praying for your future spouse, for your best and to come, and asking the Lord to set the path straight in that way. And waiting upon the Lord, there's also a component of contentment and satisfaction and peace in God, so that you're not just, angry all the time as you're sitting on the couch like, oh, God still has not given me anyone to date yet. Terrible, terrible situation that I'm in. Woe is me. No, waiting upon the Lord touches upon being content in every single situation, especially in the season of singleness, and to be effective for Him. So all those things are all true for you as single men to continue to strive for in these character traits. And these are godly virtues, right? Of being content in the Lord, trusting in the Lord, and being active in your prayer. Now, if you're constantly doing that, then taking initiative just means be a leader. It's just as simple as being a leader. There's nothing, crazy about it. Go talk to girls. Now, not necessarily with like an ill intent of like, oh, is she dateable? Is she marriable? No, you could be thinking about it in the back of your head, but that's not the focus of every conversation. But you're really trying to serve them as sisters in Christ. You're trying to be a leader. Take the initiative of, right, finding opportunities to keep serving and growing and expanding your influence and impact within the church. Girls are going to notice. And sooner or later, the gals around you, you're going to take note of some of them. And don't see that as necessarily, if you're doing everything according to God's way, then these natural affections and desires you have leaning towards certain women within the church, it could very well be the Lord's directing you and leading you in such a way of helping you find your best as well. Take the initiative, I think, even in your own personal life. Take the initiative to build your character. That's taking initiative, maybe not as apparent in public, but it's more behind the scenes, but that's also needed. If you're someone who's struggling greatly with anger, take the initiative to work on your anger. Talk with other older men who can help you and counsel you through that. Jealousy, bitterness, love of money, whatever it is that's hindering you from becoming a more excellent godly man, work on those character traits. Take the initiative in that. Godly women will notice you and they'll want to date you.
They will. I can confirm. I think too, just to kind of add to what Bruce is saying about like the looking around and stuff, if you do like really dive in and have a strong prayer life and are content in the Lord serving Him, that's super attractive, and I think that I know a lot of women who are ready to get married who are looking for that. And if you can really just dive into trusting in the Lord with all your heart and not leaning on your own understanding, you're going to stand out. And some advice I like to give to women who are kind of like, oh, no one's asking me out. What do I do? Or what happens if the right guy comes and he's missing me? Focus on your character. Be so attractive, have such good character that it's going to be impossible for a man to ignore. And if he does miss it, then God's sovereignty, he's probably saving you from a bad situation if the guy can't see your excellent character. And that's not something to be proud about or anything like that. Like, oh, I filled, this amount of hours of service this week, so that means my character is, 10 out of 10. No, it's a humble thing. It's a humble thing that, it's not you that's growing yourself. It's the Lord, and it's the Lord's involvement in your life. And so, even when the godly guy does come along, there's no like, oh, well, I nailed this one. I nailed it. Got the guy, no. God has put all the things in your life, fruit and growth and all of those things. And you can just rejoice that it wasn't you. It was totally the Lord, and it was totally the Lord's sovereignty in bringing the right guy for you. So in that sense, yes, it's really great to be able to wait on the Lord. And it reminds me of Hannah in the Bible, where, it wasn't, not having a child wasn't something that just happened overnight, or like, oh, she woke up one day and was like, I don't have eggs, and you know what? I don't have a son either, just kind of, it was something that was just year after year. And then her sister wife, whatever we want to call it, just tormented her year after year. And this was an ongoing thing that she was waiting on the Lord for. And what did she do? She ran to the Lord and she prayed about it. And so that just ties into what Bruce is saying, is it's really important to have a solid prayer life and to really depend on the Lord. And I just love Isaiah 40 whenever we're talking about like waiting on the Lord. No, this section is not talking about singleness, but sometimes it feels so dire when you are single, or talk to people where it seems like, their life is falling apart because they don't have a boyfriend. No, this isn't, that's not right. Let's align our hearts with the truth. But, something that is comforting is, the truth that is shared in Isaiah 40 verses 28 through 31, which I'll read quickly. It says, "Do you not know? Have you not heard? The everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth, does not become weary or tired. His understanding is inscrutable. He gives strength to the weary, and to him who lacks might he increase power. Their youths grow weary and tired, and vigorous young men stumble badly. Yet those who wait on the Lord will gain new strength. They will mount up with wings like eagles. They will run and not get tired. They will walk and not become weary." And I just think it's so encouraging that like nothing we do is on our own strength. If we depend on the Lord, that is really what's going to grow our character, our maturity, and just our ability to date well and to be good spouses when that time comes. I think a lot of girls wait because they think that like they reach glorification at marriage or engagement, somewhere in there, and that's not what happens, ladies. And it's actually really hard if you wait to become perfect when you're married, or wait to grow your character till you're married, because marriage can be difficult and there's a lot of extra responsibilities once you do get married. So if you really focus on trusting the Lord now and get that understanding, under your belt, then it's just a powerful tool to both be able to help you now in this season of singleness, and help your boyfriend once you start dating, just encouraging him to be dependent on the Lord. And then once you get married, when you're growing your family, if you build that foundation of just you being dependent on the Lord, wow, that's going to be amazing. That's going to be amazing.
Thanks so much, guys. I really love how both of you were able to strike at that dichotomy of, it's not waiting on the Lord or doing things, it's waiting on the Lord while doing the Lord's things. And I just love also that it comes back to the name of this channel. We're here to identify God's best. You're not striving to acquire your best. And we can just have this focus perfectly of being fully content in God, fully trusting in God, pursuing God's purposes, and knowing with a quiet trust that when the time comes, and if it's God's will, He will present the right one to you, and you to them. So that's just so exciting. I hope that this video has been helpful to either people who are in a time of singleness, or people who have friends who are in a time of singleness. We just hope this can be useful to you as you think, what can we do with the time that we have with this season of singleness that the Lord's placed us in. So I hope this has been a help. If it has, continue to like, comment, subscribe. We love hearing from you guys out there. But until next time, we'll be covering lots more videos, many more topics. We'll see you next time. This has been Identifying God's Best.